We're off bright and early to a new week. This is Business Morning on Channels Television, and this is your platform for current and relevant business conversation with me, Ini John Mekwa, for this week. Well, let's start off with update from the global oil space and see what's happening there. Oil prices rose on Monday as the prospects of demand recovery led by China's loosening of the COVID-19 curbs and the United States' decision to buy back oil for its state reserves gained the upper hand over global recession fears. Brent crude futures gained 74 cents to $79.78 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures was up at $75.03 a barrel, and that's gaining 74 cents. Both benchmarks plunged more than $2 a barrel last Friday following hawkish remarks from the U.S. and European central banks on interest rate hike that sparked worries of possible recession. China, the world's top crude oil importer and number 2 oil consumer, is experiencing its first of 3 expected waves of COVID-19 cases after Beijing relaxed mobility restrictions. Let's come back home now. The governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, is set to meet with the lawmakers tomorrow, Tuesday, after the meeting was rescheduled from last week, Thursday. This meeting is on the newly introduced cash limit policy, which is set to be in operation from the 9th of January. Well, I put together the details of this new policy and reactions so far.
Ensure a strong and effective legal tender.
Nigeria's Central Bank Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, has been very busy in recent times. From the redesigning of the Naira, which was unveiled and subsequently released for circulation from the 15th of December, to the cash limit policy, which becomes effective on the 9th of January 2023 and will allow individuals to withdraw 20,000 Naira daily and 100,000 Naira cumulatively in a week, while corporates are allowed up to 500,000 Naira a week. This is still generating different conversations from Nigeria's legislative chambers.
If you want to stop banditry, make it impossible for them to have cash. 2, we pass the law on this floor. It's our law.
Every day as I sit here in this chamber, I have every day not less than 100 people, laborers working on my farm, and they have to be paid by 5 o'clock. Cash, of course.
Senator Adamu Bukachua is referring to locations like Wafango community in Yola South local government area of Adamawa State, where neither point-of-sale kiosks nor ATMs are easily sighted. The village head, Abubakar Njida, expressed his frustration at the new policy.
Now, for me to withdraw as a trader, I withdraw about 500,000 Naira to buy rams and cows. How do you think 20,000 Naira will help me?
For the over 1.4 million mobile money agents who have attempted to cover areas which banks and ATMs have not spread to, there's need for some concession.
An average agent serves about a minimum of 20 customers a day. And let's just say, with this peg that the CBN has released, an average agent would need about 400,000. So what we are actually appealing is that the CBN should give a somewhat recognition for agents through our principles, where we can have access to cash and serve Nigerians in areas where there are no banks and ATM machines.
The CBN governor may have heard some of these concerns and gives a hint that there may be possible adjustments.
I cannot say that we are going to be rigid, but it is not to say that we will reverse. It is not to say that we will change timing, but whether it is about tweaking some amount to be a little bit higher or a little bit lower and all the rest of it, we will do so because we are humans. We want to make sure that we make life good for our people.
Among experts and industry watchers, the policy would have been commendable had the needed infrastructure been in place.
There are positive sides of electronic transactions, and Nigerians are welcoming it, and it is gradually getting into the system and getting operational. And I'm saying that we should make haste slowly we should take it in a manner that will be much more beneficial.
They should do 500,000 per day for individual.
Some of the lawmakers are also asking that the policy be implemented, but only after the limit has been adjusted. John Mekwa, Channels Television News. So that's a possible adjustment to that limit. Is one of the things that we'll be looking out for as a central bank governor attends to the lawmakers tomorrow, Tuesday. We'll be looking out for that meeting. Now, on Thursday last week, there was a temporary opening of the second Niger Bridge to decongest traffic from the old bridge, especially during this Yuletide. Of course, this brightens the mood of a lot of travelers. It's going to be open from the 15th of December to the 15th of January. So there are a lot of expectations. Let's talk to Bola Olojede, the Executive Director of DMA Advisory now, to see what other expectations we have from this temporal and subsequently permanent opening of the second Niger Bridge. Good morning, Mr. Olojede. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
So are you traveling? Are you using this bridge, this festive period?
Well, I will not. Well, I mean, in time past, I've used the old bridge, and I know what it means to travel to that part of the town around this season.
So I know that it's temporal. The minister had said that the bridge itself is ready, but the connecting roads that will connect the bridge to the express is not yet ready. But even for this 1 month, what are some of the expectations? Is it just the happy travelers? Do we see trade or, products, the big trucks?
Definitely people who are traveling home and those who will be coming back in January as well will have the benefit of having a smoother journey than they've ever had in recent years. There is also the cost implications for everybody. You see, one of the things we may not be conscious of is when we stay longer in traffic, are there implications for it? If a journey or a distance that is supposed to take 15 minutes end up taking 1 hour, you have quadrupled the volume of fuel that you will consume in that vehicle. You have stayed longer in that vehicle, which has health implications for you. The wear and tear on that vehicle is accelerated because the piston is working for longer than it is supposed to be. So there are cost implications that will be reduced in this season by virtue of opening that. Then there are people who have even totally written off the fact that they want to travel because they know how that plays during the Yuletide. So some of these people might be encouraged to want to take that trip again. So it has advantages for the road users that we're able to open that road and make it available for travelers during this season. Of course, some commerce might also be a part of it, but the essence is not for that roadside trading anyway.
Yes, that's where I was coming to, Mr. Olojede, because I saw some reports of hawkers, those traffic hawkers, saying that they might be losing out of their commerce this period, normally to be a booming period for them.
Well, people will still buy things, because of the activities that is usually associated with the season. But the hope of people spending 1 hour, 1.5 hours in traffic so that you can sell might not be there. Normally, when Nigerians even travel, even when there are no traffic, they pull over. There's a place where we used to eat when we were going to the east in those days. The vehicles pull over there and we will eat. If there are instances in which people want to buy one or two, drivers do make certain allowances from time to time for them to make all those their little purchases. But we cannot encourage roadside travel at the expense of the benefit that an infrastructure like puts on the table.
All right, so we see also there's a toll complex there. So this is going to be tolled. For maintenance, we believe, and sustenance of this. I don't know if Nigerians have factored that into this. And what have you heard, some of the reactions, following that?
Okay, there have been all sort of theories. I'll call them conspiracy theories. There were some who even went to the extent of saying, oh, why is it now that the bridge is in the east that the government is thinking about tolling? It is important to know that right from conception, this project was inaugurated by OBJ in 2007, so the history dated back maybe like a couple of decades before that time. But the initial model was the PPP model. So right from inauguration, the idea of tolling has been on the table. When the next government inherited it, that also maintained that same outlook of a PPP model. The private sector will bring money and all of that, and there will be recovery. Now, don't forget also that the Federal Ministry of Works is already working on being able to concession about 5 or 7% of our road, of the federal government road, and provide tolling on those roads as a critical assurance for maintenance. That's one of the main things that we will achieve with that. So it is not out of place that there will be tolling, and we have, as a nation, we have to avoid demonizing tolling. Rather, our focus should be that the tolling should be worth it at the end of the day. It should not be hurtful on the people. It should be something that is reasonable. That is number one. Number two, there will actually be maintenance of those roads that are tolled, and we will have a better use and smoother use of those roads that are tolled. I think that is where we need to migrate, not to sort of demonize toll.
Yeah, well, I believe from past conversations, a lot of Nigerians, at least majority, are not against tolling, but who regulates the tolling to ensure that it's actually being used, for the maintenance and perhaps even the creation of another, better road or construction of other road. That has always been the worry of Nigerians and why they talk about the issue of tolling. But thank you so much, Mr. Gbolahan Olojede, Executive Director, DMA Advisory, for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Certainly, from 15th of January, we'll be counting down to the federal government and be like, well, we need this thing to be permanently open, not just a temporary one.
Well, it's 90-something% complete anyway, so very soon it should be fully open.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you too.
All right, now, another area of interest to Business Morning this morning is the issue of mining and governance. Nigeria is endowed with over 40 different solid mineral types found in about 450 locations scattered across the country. Every state of Nigeria has something to offer when it comes to solid mineral. This should mean that the mining sector in the country is a very vibrant and wealthy one. Recently, the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Mr. Olamilekan Adigbite, stated that the sector received over $1 billion in foreign direct investment, emphasis on $1 billion. Well, what area of mining got this funding and what have they done with it? We have somebody who is in the sector, Mr. Paul Jegede, the Executive Director, the Chairman of Japol Gold and Ventures PLC, Mr. Paul Jegede, joins us in the studio to tell us what they have done with $1 billion of investment that is coming to your sector. Mr. Jegede, good morning. Thank you for your time this morning. Where is this $1 billion? Where has it gone to? Trust me, you have a lot of Nigerians tearing the pockets and trying to get that $1 billion. But I mean, this sounds impressive, but how real is it? The minister says that you've had about $1 billion coming into the sector in foreign direct investment.
Well, good morning, everybody. I think what the minister was trying to say is about the people that are investing in the sector. We have some investment taking place in Kaduna. where they have invested over $600 million. And we have Segilola Gold, that is Tor Exploration in Osun State. I think that has got some money also, maybe over $200 million. And we have some pocket of investment, but compared to the potential in the industry, 1 billion is just too small to start feeling
this
any
1
effect.
billion, I mean, is small, we agree.
Yeah.
I mean, for us to have over 40 different solid minerals in different locations in the country,
Right.
1 billion is small, but this $1 billion we're talking about, how impactful, where is it, what has it done? We've heard of a lot of some activities when it comes to gold, Osun State and all of that in recent times, but has it birthed employment? Has it birthed? We're still looking for hard currency everywhere. The naira is dropping because we don't have exports.
Okay. For investment of Tor Exploration in Osun State, at least, a lot of people have been employed. I think Segilola is now producing about 200 kilograms of gold monthly. That's a lot of money. And this gold is being exported out of the country. So, Segilola has developed the community, give employment to people, and then what
is it on the exchange? We know we have a gold exchange.
No. There's exchange, there's investment in mining. Let's get it clear. The investment in Kaduna, where they're investing in iron ore, I think the records show that they've invested over 600 million, and a lot of Nigerians have been employed. So that's a positive economic effect of that investment. Another one is the area where government did some exploration works. They collected some data, and these data are being examined, and the foreigners came. They bought some of these areas where they have discovered minerals by going through the data and then investing in. That is, they pay for the data and they've started exploration. So you can really not say this is the amount that they have brought, but
it's active.
Yes, it's active.
Okay.
For sure.
Then the issue of raw gold. The federal government banned the export of raw gold. But I don't know if we have ruled out illegal mining and exportation of raw resources.
No, you see, federal government policy about banning of not only raw gold, it's raw minerals.
Yes.
Exporting of raw minerals, and that includes gold. So exporting of lead, zinc. No, it's not. It's just a new policy. It's a new law, I would say. It's just, they're just going to start the implementation, but that law has come with a lot of challenges, If you say that don't export raw materials, raw mineral from the site, then the question is, do you have expertise to process them? Do we have the machinery and equipment to do the processing to final stage for export? So the government idea, I would say, don't export is a very brilliant idea, because we don't want to repeat the same mistake we made in crude oil, where we export all what we have, and then we re-import what we need. So now let's do it differently. Good idea. But the implementation has to be phased out. There has to be deadlines. They have to put time to it. Otherwise, it will impoverish the artisanal miners, because they will have nowhere to sell to. Chinese are all over the place buying from the artisanal miners and exporting these materials out of the country. So if they're not buying again, then there's no money for them.
I thought there was also a law removing the middleman, I mean, stopping the foreigners from dealing directly with the poor artisans down there.
That would be very difficult to do, because going to bushes...
There's supposed to be somebody who is protecting the interests of, the locals.
There are many government agencies, they bought vehicle for them to move from, but Nigeria is big. And this also, Chinese, they are all over the place. They are the one buying this material, both from legal and illegal artisanal miners, and then you have them all over the place, buying it and exporting. This government policy will check all those, but it is not, it has to be implemented in phases, otherwise it will create another problem in the industry.
So you did say that for us not to repeat the mistake of, what we still have with crude oil, that's why the government banned this, but do we have the facility and the personnel to actually process the raw minerals into processed one? What do we need? You talked about the issue of phases. What would you say from phase 1 to phase 2 to be able to implement this law and make this ban on raw materials effective?
Okay. The first thing is human development. There is no skill for us to even process the minerals. That's number one. So if finding solution to that means training our people or bringing expatriates to come and do the work. Another challenge is the issue of equipment, machinery and equipment. When you want to beneficiate mineral, for example, lead or zinc, you need a sophisticated plant, especially lithium. Lithium is oil of tomorrow. We are changing from petrol to electric vehicles. What powers the electric vehicles is lithium. We have it in abundance here. And if it's going to replace oil tomorrow, it's better we start processing now before export. But the plant you need to process lithium to become lithium battery for vehicle, it's huge, it's enormous, and it's highly capital intensive. So that's another challenge. So if you say don't export lithium ore, that is the raw as from site, then what's going to happen to the artisanal man that is mining it? What are they going to do with it with the mine? Until those things are installed, and then we have good hands to run them, to process it to final stage, the implementation then should be phased out gradually. It should be implemented gradually, not just sharply like that. Otherwise, it will create another problem, as I've said.
So this picture brings to mind what we may be having in the agriculture sector, where you still have a lot of cutlass and hoe farmers.
That's right.
Because they don't have access to tractors.
That's it.
So we have the raw materials, but converting it to what we really need becomes an issue. So I wish it was possible to push more of this $1 billion investment into areas like that.
Yes, you see, this $1 billion is private investment by some group of people just like myself. Have invested hundreds of millions to exploration, and we are still working. So what government has done, they've created some centers in the 6 geopolitical zone in Nigeria. For example, in Ebonyi, there is plants, processing beneficiation plant they are installing for processing of lead, zinc, because they will have abundance of that mineral in that area, although in the other areas as well as in the north. In Kogi, there is processing plant being installed for gold. In Oyo, there is plant and more, or let's say, buying more for gemstones and for cutting and polishing of gemstone. In Kano, there is gold souk. That is to say, what they're trying to achieve is to let people bring their raw mineral from sites, from their mining site, be it artisanal, be it intermediate miner, wherever. Bring it, then we process it for you. You pay the government that is doing the processing, you make money, then you export. So that is being done, but it's going to take time. So if you say stop exporting solid mineral in the raw form, right now, it is going to trigger another problem. So
these places you've mentioned, I believe that's the mineral processing centers.
That's right.
Which is around the geopolitical. But just as the industrial zones, the one they have for just agro and all of that, the issue of access, a lot of people have complained about how expensive it is to access it. For you now in the mineral resources area, how easy or difficult is it for people to access it? How expensive is it, the fees for you to, get access to that?
Are you talking about accessibility of mining site or accessibility
No, of the processing
to
zones, yes. The centers that the government has created, the ones you just mentioned.
Right.
Can I just maybe wake up and I have raw gold and I just walk in there and go and process it?
No, it's simple. When these sites, these zones are ready, you can just walk in with your gold, just get registered, and bring your gold or your mineral to the site.
What are the requirements?
The requirement basically, you must not be an illegal miner, because you have to fill from where you are bringing your minerals from. So, I mean, you going there without proper license, you just go reporting yourself, then you may be arrested from there. Then your mineral may be confiscated.
Okay,
so you must be a legal miner to go there for processing of your minerals.
All right, Mr. Jegede, we do really hope that these processing centers are effective, and encourage, as you've said, if the government really it wants to discourage the exports of raw minerals, then there has to be a place where people can actually process it.
Correct.
Thank you so much, Chairman Japol Gold and Ventures PLC, Mr. Paul Jegede, for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Let's take a breather. When we come back, it's not over. Still have more conversations for you here on Business Morning on Channels Television. You're welcome back. Well, low export volume from Nigeria has been associated with high rate of exchange of the naira to major foreign currencies. The 2022 annual trade survey seeks to unravel the root causes of the lack of growth of non-export volume in the country and provide insight into what needs to be done by the government and the people, as well as the banks, and fix the problems in the industry. We have Bamidele Ayemibo, the lead consultant at 3T Impex Consulting, to give us some highlights from their findings and some of the way forward. Good morning, Ms. Ayemibo. Thank you so much for your time. So let's just get straight into it this morning. Your report indicates that 94% of exporters experience rejection of their financing requests by Nigerian banks. Was it not well packaged?
Yeah, that was a very interesting one, and a number of people have asked a lot of questions around it. Even though the reports also showed that afterwards, some of them eventually got financing, because the report eventually showed that about 11% of them eventually got the financing. But the fact still remains that majority of requests to banks of financing requests for export to bank are rejected. And in my opinion, from what we are finding, it's not just the bank to be blamed, even the exporter themselves to be blamed. And of course, government have a role to play to be able to make it happen. This report covers both the large scale, medium, and micro, and a number of the SMEs fall within the bracket where we have this rejection. What we also observe is the fact that a number of the presentation or proposal to the bank are defective, which is where we're encouraging the bank to begin to find means of training the SMEs on how to present a bankable proposal to the bank for financing. But also, what is important, I think the bank also need to do is to consider reducing some of the stringent measures. I mean, I'm talking about the requirement now. For example, if I'm exporting and I need to provide a tangible collateral, where my good can be used as collateral also need to be looked into. And on the part of the government, of course, we expect the government to also provide export credit insurance. I think that to a large extent we help the bank to be able to finance the export sector more.
All right, so you've touched on a lot of things, I must say, because in my conversations with both the financial sector and the exporters themselves, the issue of bookkeeping, proper bookkeeping, to convince the bankers has been an issue. And you talked about training, but I don't know whose responsibility that should be, because you said the banks, but the banks are just there to make money. So who should actually handle this, especially when you look at the MSMEs, the issue of bookkeeping, following up and being strict in presenting, so that at the point they want to get finance, they have the evidence of a proper business being run. Who should handle this?
Now, in the real sense of the word, it should be the exporter. But look at this. The nation is suffering seriously because we don't have enough foreign exchange. CBN launched RT200 FS program. Mm-hmm. If you want to be successful, we must grow trade. If we have identified that one of the challenges is the fact that the exporters are not able to present a good proposal, training them by the banks have done this in the past for a lot of SMEs to be able to assist them. So I don't think it's out of place. For me, it will be a support service that banks should use to attract more exporters to themselves. In as much as that should be the job of the exporter themselves, since it's affecting even the bank themselves, because the bank do not have enough foreign exchange to fund import transactions, and it's affecting the entire nation. So in as much as this should be the prerogative of the exporter, I think government stepping in, particularly the bank, because the bank now understand these are the issues your report or request have. These are the things you need to do to be able to present a proposal to us that will make us be able to finance your transaction.
And then the issue of logistics at our ports. I know the other time we had a lot of queues, and we still have some queues. And then the NNPC did connect it to construction, around the port area, Papa, in Lagos and all of that. And we've talked about the issue of, some of the activities going on, even by the regulating authorities or enforcement authorities around the ports. How much has this contributed to what we're suffering in the country now, this lack of dollar?
Now, the exporters in this survey confirmed that 26% said export logistics is their major challenge. 20% said inadequate financing is their major challenge. 11% said government agency at the port, custom and other agency is their major challenge. If you add this together, about 57% is saying if you deal with logistics, if you deal with financing, if you deal with the agency at the port, reducing delay with them, we'll be able to fast track and grow the export volume in Nigeria. Let me talk about logistics. It's not just the logistics. So now we have a situation in which we are now using barges to move goods from my 2 area down to Apapa, from Ikorodu down to Apapa. But we observe something, an exporter also, and we observe that so you are using those terminals, you still have to go into Apapa to do clearing of your goods for export, documentation and clearing with customs. So you still have to have the delay and the challenges of getting to Apapa and all the step processes that things have been automated. So if we automate the process of export clearance, particularly with customs and the government agency, the way CBN has done the part of the NXP on one hand, and then ensure that I can do export clearance with customs at the terminals. Before that, I have to go into Apapa is a challenge. So Apapa logistics is there, and we are now using baggage from Ikorodu, baggage from my 2. Why don't we have custom terminals at those locations and the government agents? So I have a one-stop shop that if I'm moving my goods from this location, I don't need to worry myself about because now I'm going to move it on water. I should also be able to clear through customs at that location, and the paperwork should be reduced significantly. Let me do it online so we can fast track it, because in as much as we want to grow export, if you don't fast track the clearing process, we're also creating a problem.
So I know that there are some companies that have offered to take care of all of this logistics. They tell you they're your one-stop shop for, dealing with exports. Are those people not able to fill in the gap? I know that the long-term solution should be that, of course, the government should automate the process and reduce the bureaucracy and all of that. But, I mean, dealing with what we have at this time, what about those corporates that promise you to be a one-stop shop for export? I know it will cost you something, but doesn't it take the hassle off you as an exporter?
Anybody saying that is not telling you the truth, because you can't be a one-stop shop. You still depend on custom. Like the case I just painted for you. Even if I want to handle it for an exporter, I still need to go through these agencies. And I still need to go into the port to meet this agency to do the clearing. And we are saying, can we move this clearing process outside the port? Why can't I, if I have a terminal in Kano, terminal in Kaduna, terminal in Edo, terminal in Ibadan, or your state, why can't I just clear my goods for export in this location and be able to get the goods straight into the port? So if we have terminal outside, the NEPC have done the domestic export warehouse, and we're saying those domestic export warehouse should be such that we have clearing of custom at that location, not just custom, all the other agencies. So having a one-stop shop is what we should work towards. But the way to make it happen is the location where I'm stopping the good into the container, custom is doing its inspection, documentation is being done, approval is being granted by the CBN, and all this is done at a location, primarily online, and then it makes it faster for me to move my good into the port. So anybody saying they will be able to do the clearing, you need custom to do it. So you can't really be a one-stop shop. You still have to depend on custom, depend on the PIA, depend on bank for you to be able to get it done.
Unfortunately, it sounds. But let's look at supply chain disruptions that have come with the Ukraine war, the Russia-Ukraine war. The world is talking about it. It's affecting a lot of countries. Is it affecting us, or is it just what we have created for ourselves that is affecting us?
It's painful that we are experiencing that disruption and we are adding to it in Nigeria. I had an experience recently. I needed to ship goods to, I think, North America, and it took about over a month to transship in Morocco. For it to go to Canada. I mean, those are the issues that this war is causing because of disruption in the global supply chain. Now, I think that challenge we should have control over, such that we should help ourselves locally, so that even if we are going to experience that, we should help ourselves locally to fast track whatever we are doing locally, so that whatever will happen afterwards, it's not aggravate the challenge we're already facing. I'm supposed to do, maybe I plan to do 3 or 4 transactions in a year or 5 transactions in a year. If we don't take care of the logistic challenges, it even has some time for people to be able to do too. Because you spend literally sometimes 2 months just doing things people have done within 2 weeks or even a week in some countries. I had a situation in which I was shipping to a country. By the time I was telling the buyer about the fact that the goods are arriving. And he's telling me, look, they have cleared the goods. Yes, cleared the goods. Within 2 days, the container is already out of the port. That also happens when they are exporting. And that's what we have to do here. And I think we have to de-emphasize going to the port for anything. It should be done outside the port. So, or truck or barges are moving to the port straight to the ship side for it to be loaded on board the ship for shipment to the destination.
You know, Ms. Ayemibo, we've been having these conversations for so many times. Sometimes, you know, being in the media, it's our job, of course, to highlight it. But sometimes we just wish there was something we could do to make action. What, from your perspective, can we do to, you know, make something happen instead of just talking about it?
Now, I think, you know, it's good time we are going to election period. I think the media should emphasize the fact that the presidency should take it as a duty on growth of exports in Nigeria. NDP is doing a lot, CPN is doing a lot. But you know, when Obama became president in America, he set up a committee that reports to him directly to grow American export. Because he realized for every $1 billion export, there are hundreds of thousands of jobs created. If the president does not own it and drive it, I'm not sure we'll be able to have the success we desire. It needs to be at every speech president is making, at every event that has to do with economy and commerce, we should hear that word export, non-oil export. So to be able to put all the agency of government on their toes, meaning what they call the body language of the government, of the presidency, so that they can give the necessary support. Imagine a situation in which we are shipping goods into Nigeria, air cargo, for example. You have a situation in which airline, the Nigeria Promotion Council, and the agents are complaining about the fact that a government agency is charging too much for landing charges for cargo plane compared to neighboring country. And they don't care about it. They don't do anything about it. They need to make the money. But if the presidency tells them what to do to support that agency, they will do it because they are reporting to the presidency.
Well, I don't know how many times you've heard the word non-oil exports as the campaigns are going on and debates and town hall meetings are going on with the politicians and the candidates of different parties. I don't know how many times. I don't think I've heard a whole lot, Mr. Ayemibo.
No, we are not making enough noise. Look at AFCFTA, for example. AFCFTA, my opinion is that ECOWAS, TLS failed, but when such exists. Front-line candidate, I think the top 3 or top 5 about AFCFTA is successful. Many countries in Africa now have started trading. Have started in Ghana, it started in Kenya, it started in I think Rwanda and other countries. Nigeria is still struggling to put together a documentation after how many years?
I tell you.
30 years of 7 years, almost 2 years of buying Niger Bridge, we're still together. So it's like it's not the hurry to get it done. We're not all the agencies of government on their post. The presidency is the only one that can drive it. So all the agencies will have to move at their pace unless someone give them a marching order that this has to be done at this particular point in time, else their job will be on the line.
All right, Mr. Ayemibo, we quite understand your passion there, especially when we are here and we report how Kenya and Ghana, we are the giant of Africa. They've started trading on AFCFTA. We're still talking about, I think the last time there was a meeting of the Action Committee, they were still talking about the strategy that they're going to present to the presidency, not yet approved. So, I mean, we understand that, and we do hope that, the incoming government would sit up and Nigerians will actually hold people in authority, to question. When they make promises, follow up. And don't vote because you are being paid or because of sentiment, but because, these are people you believe in. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Mr. Bamidele Ayemibo is a lead consultant at 3T Impex Consulting. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we are still trading this time around. It's with Anete Edet, trading at the NGX and the fixed income market. Hi, Anete. Good morning. You guys had a wonderful time on Saturday on Capital Market.
Yes, well, quite splendid. That market, I mentioned sometime last week that it has dropped all the way from the 1 trillion naira level and almost slowly.
Which of the markets?
That's the unlisted securities market.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
that was our.
Yeah, well, we've been below 1 trillion naira for quite some weeks now. Haven't been able to regain that.
And that's no thanks to sell pressure on some of the listed securities. It's a market for profit, but at the same time, I think the activities has been geared towards the sell side. But we're expecting that the market will take a rebound in 2023. And
all right,
of course, at the end of this week,
we'll see a Santa Claus at the unlisted market.
Santa Claus. Well, we might not say Santa Claus, but maybe in January.
Okay, all right.
All right. So now, for the market, we're starting first with the Forex market. The transaction, what you see on the board there, your scoreboard, 32.50%. That's the increase that the market had recorded as at December the 16th, last week, Friday. Now, it was mostly positive sentiment, as you can see here. But when you take a look at this board here, the Forex market, it was down by 28.51% at $11.56 million. But when you take a look at the overall board of that market, total transactions there was at over 1,000, $1.02 million for the market. Now moving over to the Nigeria Autonomous Forex market, the Naira, it had gained more than half of a percent at 400. Sorry for that typo. At 447.58 against what it did previously. Now, for that market, we've seen the Naira taking a little bit of reprieve from the bashing that it had a couple of weeks ago. But now to talk more about the fixed income market, because we will be talking about the bonds market, the treasury bills market, as well as the OMO market. Let's talk to Ahmed Agbola, the head of fixed income and a fixed income dealer at Access Bank, to tell us more about that market and what to expect this week. Thank you for joining us, Ahmed.
Thank you very much, Anita. Good morning. Thank you for having me. The market has experienced significant liquidity in the market for the past week, and we saw the effect of that on both auctions that happened last week. So last week we saw the NTP auction where DMO offered about 13.58 billion, and they sold the same amount. However, the subscription for that auction was as high as 146 billion. Once again, signifying the high level of liquidity in the system. And as a result of that, we saw a decline in stop rates for the 91-day bill. It closed at 5.5%, coming from 6.2% where it closed the last auction. 182 days closed at 7.3% from 8%, while 364 days closed at 9.89%, a significant drop from 13.05% where it closed at the previous auction. And at the secondary market, the market remained quiet as bids were made with not so much offers to match due to the wide bidder spread in that market. Also at the bond auction, the majority of the attention was also focused on the bond auction that happened on Monday, where about 225 billion was offered by DMO on the 2029, 2032, and 2037 papers. We also saw a significant increase in the subscription level at about 532 billion, even though DMO eventually sold about 264 billion. And we saw the 2037 papers being the highest sought after. We also saw stop rate decline. For the 2029 papers, it closed at 14.6%. That's about 15 basis point drop from where it closed at the previous auction. 32s dropped to 14.75%, about 45 basis point drop as well, while the 37s also dropped to 15.8%, about 40 basis point drop from the previous auction. And after the auction, we saw a rally, especially on the 29s and the 2037 papers. We saw the 37 traded as low as about 14.25% as we close the week.
Okay, yeah, Ahmed, thank you for that. Now, I would like to know, in just a few seconds, the market will be going on a Christmas holiday by the end of this week. There's going to be a Forex retail, FX retail sales this week. And last week, the inflation report, all this bullish sentiment came in the midst of the inflation report. Now, what are we to expect this week as we begin the third trading week of December?
All right. So in the FX market, the liquidity still persists, even though we saw a very high level of market turnover last week. But that's because there was significant level of activities as companies and organizations tried to close their obligations as they wind down for the rest of the year, like you mentioned. So we expect that there will be further adjustments in the rates. So at the NAFEX window, we saw about 5 Naira 18 kobo depreciation last week, while similarly at the R&D window, we saw about 5 Naira decline. And we expect this further adjustment as we move towards the end of the year. However, we'll continue to expect the intervention of CBN, both at the SME and invisibles market and SMIS retail auction, to cushion the effect of the pressure on the Naira.
All right. Okay, thank you for that outlook on the market for the week, Ahmed. That was Ahmed Agbola, head of fixed income and a dealer at Access Bank. So now, Ini, so you can see that's the board for the market there.
For last
More
week.
than 236 billion are gained in 4 trading sessions last week.
Christmas came in early.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to see this is one side of the Christmas color, green, but I wouldn't want to see the red side of the Christmas color.
Yeah, and then we have 5 trading days this week.
Yeah, 5 trading days before
we'll have
Christmas.
to hold our breath.
Yeah.
You know, seeing that some investors might just do some sell-off.
I'm expecting a Santa rally.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. All right.
49,000.
Okay. Thank you so much. We hope we get back to that 50,000 that we love to see. Well, Anete yields the floor to Laddie Williams. I don't know if the crypto has the other Christmas color.
Oh, yes, it's the other color.
The other
it's
Christmas.
red.
It's had this Christmas color for too long.
Yes.
Can it switch to the first Christmas color?
And obviously, it's following, the U.S. market, talking about the NASDAQ there. We've seen that, union between the crypto market and that's been hammered, also with fears about recession. So that's also impacting the crypto markets with
we
the
see
risk
a little bit
fears.
of reprieve, coming from the not so harsh inflation figures.
Exactly. We did get that rally, but obviously that wasn't sustained.
That was just
all of them,
it was just
dived
a fleeting
again.
breath.
Exactly. So we've not been seeing the bear market rallies. They come, once in a while, but that downtrend still strong. Still
this
hitting
time
this
last
market.
year, Laddie, Bitcoin was 66,000 or something.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, I'm still going to do some analysis on the year-to-date changes
like
for
many
this.
years ago.
Exactly, and the bear markets always seem so long, and so slow. But when the bull markets come, boom, they come really fast.
You get your money and get out.
Exactly. So looking at the sentiment there, it's 29 points of 100 fear in the market, better than extreme fear though. Let's look at the market cap now. 806 billion Wondering if 800 holds, going forward in this market. Down 0.37%. Volume traded $22.91 billion. That's down 3.72%. Let's look at the price of Bitcoin this morning, $16,739. Did lose that 18,000 level with the fear of recession. Most of these markets now, volume traded $12.55 billion. We also have that, FTX contagion still weighing heavily, on this market. Let's bring in Olumide Adesina now, financial market analyst, to bring us up to speed. Hello, Olumide.
Hello, Ladi. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday, but obviously this market is still quite dull, for some weeks now. And we did see a lot of pressure on Binance. That's the one of the largest crypto exchanges by volume. And obviously, he was the Binance CEO that, opened the world's eyes to what was happening with FTX. But it looks like what happened with FTX is impacting, the Binance exchange at this point.
Yeah, just like you rightly said, Binance seems not to be isolated from the lack of market confidence in the crypto market, and probably due to many reasons. The collapse of FTX and other systemic crypto lending platforms like Celsius has triggered cash outflows from the evolving market. Also, just like you rightly spoke about, fear about recession, the Fed's interest rate hike, but we've seen the dollar moderating in the early hours of today by 50 basis points, but still the crypto market seems to be stable. And one will look at the fact that despite former president of the United States, Donald Trump, tapping into the NFT market collection, that should trigger some excitement, and the fact that PNB has rallied in the past couple of days, reducing the moderation spread in that asset. But coming back home, I think excitement in the crypto market is still high. If you look at Google Trend, data tells you that Nigeria is leading many countries just behind El Salvador in terms of Bitcoin interest. And unsurprisingly, you could see that the House of Rep chairman spoke on the need to legalize crypto transactions because they see the fact that Africa's largest economy is not making waves into this market. We have lost millions of dollars in tax. We've lost employment opportunities. We've seen the ecosystem be diluted as many of these entrepreneurs relocate to the Western Hemisphere. So I think it's a wise thing for the House of Reps chairman bringing this to the table. I think that would really help Africa's largest economy to enhance its productivity. But I think on the macro level, very unlikely for us to see Bitcoin having a Santa rally with the meltdown we are seeing.
All right, I guess you don't see a Santa rally, coming. But what should we expect this week? Looks like we should still expect pressure on the price.
Yeah, I think for me the support level 15,000 would be the price to watch. It looks unlikely for that to happen in the short term because we're not seeing major news breaking into the market, right? Apart from the fact that the FTX co-founder has appealed for the fact that he wants to be extradited back to the United States. So I think pressure will really be slim. But my take on the altcoin market is that we're still going to see sell-offs, particularly in those illiquid assets. And I think with the United States Securities Commission clamping down on influencers and other crypto entities, Ladi, you would want to give the bulls any support right now.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much, Olumide Adesina, financial market analyst.
Thank you.
All right. So, Ini, the way it's looking, we might not see that Santa rally in the crypto space.
That's
market,
opposite of what Anita is expecting.
Exactly. This market is begging for some good news, at this point. And I don't know if we're going to get
miracles do happen, so let's not lose hope.
Or a Christmas miracle, maybe.
Yes.
All right.
All right, Adi, thank you so much. See you at 1:30, Business Incorporated.
All right.
All right, so that's it on the program for this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of it. As I said at the beginning of the program, we're doing this together for 5 days. So tomorrow I'll be back 10 a.m. First, I'll see you at 10 p.m. for the stock market report. So whatever the market does today, you can get a summary of that at 10 p.m. And then I'll see you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. But before then, go out there, make some money, live well. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Amy.